For the victims of Cyclone Nargis, I think about the month of June 22nd, something, the pledging conference for the first time in the history of the international community, it was called ASEAN UN Pledging Conference. The UN people were not very happy. UN, global, ASEAN, just a baby, regional, how could you come first? But because of the special situation that we were in, we were asked to take the lead. And we did take the lead. And we created a tripartite core group. And we got the pledge from the Prime Minister at that time, now the President, Mr. Benson. You will have, because my condition was, the next day after Singapore, my condition was, this core group must have access to you at the highest level of your government. Otherwise, we are not going to succeed. He said, I promise you, you will have access to me. And he appointed a minister to Singapore. So, this was repeated somewhere in Thailand later on. This particular modality. Myanmar took very little time in that meeting room in Singapore, about half an hour break, called Young One and then Vitor and came out and said, we would like ASEAN, the UN, to come in together, please. We were there for 2 years. We were asking, we were hoping that we could expand the space so that we could engage with other poverty-stricken population of Myanmar beyond the footprint of Cyclone Nargis. We were not given that permission. We asked if we could also bring the modality up to other regions, because we know other regions also are suffering, not because of the cyclone, but definitely because of poverty, because of disease, because of underdevelopment, because of illiteracy. Only that particular mission in the delta of the Ayeyarwady River, southwest of Yangon. It was a tapestry of diplomacy, Ambassador, because so many factors. Helping a country in transition after 60 years, preparing for its own elections. In the eyes of the world, the government is not quite legitimate, but we have to accept that, and we have to deliver. So at the pledging, Mr. Ban Ki-moon was there, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Singapore as chair of ASEAN was there, I was there, representing the organization. And the message we gave to the peoples and the leadership of Myanmar was, watch this. Because the representatives to that pledging conference came from all around the world. The US ambassador to ASEAN was there. Minister of International Development Cooperation, UK, was there. Norway was there. Japan was there. All the countries that cut themselves off from Myanmar during the time of the military junta, all the way back, all converge on to Yangon. The message that I made perfectly clear, to quote Mr. Nixon, that the entire world out there is not entirely antagonistic to Myanmar. That the world can put down any conditionality, any condition to deal with the problems in front of us, and this is humanitarian catastrophe happening before us. You have goodwill around the world. Give us the space. Give us the confidence and the trust. We will deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe one of the most powerful success and consequence of our engagement on humanitarian ground with Myanmar was not the rehabilitation of 4 million people. That we did. But I think to infuse into the leadership of Myanmar that yes, the world has goodwill for us. That we can trust the international community if 1, 2, 3 are done. You remember the elections of 2010. Yangon-based diplomats were invited to observe. February last year, before I left office, in fact 10 months before I left office, when ASEAN decided that Myanmar should be the chair of ASEAN in 2014, there was going to be a by-election for about 50 seats. Madame Aung San Suu Kyi decided to join. And I said to the President, this time, President, you can do no less than 2010. Invite the relevant people from the capitals of ASEAN this time, not only the diplomats in Yangon. And if possible, invite media from ASEAN, because you are going to be our chair in 2014. He said, we won't disappoint you. He didn't say much. 2 weeks before the elections, the invitation came to members of parliaments of all ASEAN countries. And you know, some of the ASEAN countries don't have parliaments. To the media of ASEAN, to the media from around the world. I may be selfish, ASEAN may be selfish, but I think our good cooperation and good results in the relief, in the recovery, in the development, 2 years with Cyclone Nargis certainly have given them that trust, that confidence to open up slowly on their own. So you see the convergent points between a humanitarian catastrophe because of the natural disaster called Cyclone Nargis and the other dimension that had to be evolved inside Myanmar, political dimension. That somehow converged. We now have a new darling of the international community. Mr. Obama went in, Mr. Cameron went in, Mr. All those who opposed for so long went in, and we have a new country. is there are no two catastrophes that are the same. Natural and humanitarian catastrophes can always be, if we are careful, if we are good, used to deliver and to create and to infuse new attitude, new mindset, new confidence, and new relations among and between nations. Now, I began with that because I think it needs to be amplified. I think every crisis is an opportunity, and every catastrophe has its silver lining gleamed on top of it, if you look for it hard enough and carefully enough. Now, let us look at the role of the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, which is the host of this important series of lectures here today. I have asked the organizers to distribute few sheets. I hope you look at them. Sorry, I didn't prepare talking points so that I can put it on the air in your file. We are more likely to face catastrophes, natural, that have some relationship with the change of the climate from now into the future. And that's why this center is important. That's why the mission of this center is extremely critical. Let us forget about the rest of the world. In ASEAN alone, 75–80% of our population live less than 200 kilometers from the coastline. I don't know how many provinces in Thailand now are under flood. But definitely at the end of 2010, the damage was extremely high. And it has consequence into the confidence of people who would come to locate and relocate their factories here. Investment, foreign direct investment into Thailand is now in doubt because they're not quite sure. How are we going to handle the next flood? And the next flood is, we thought it would be 200 or 300 years into the future. It's just now, here, right now. East Coast, Eastern Seaboard is under threat. So if you look at this first chart, number of climate-related disasters around the world in the last 3 decades. We have had 3,455 floods, big and small. We have had 2,689 storms, big and small. We have had 470 droughts, which means famine. We have had extreme temperature, 395, all around the world. And you can see the graph. From 1980 to 2011, the graph, all the lines of all these items are going upward. The UN Climate Authority just issued another report 2 or 3 weeks back. And the summary is only one line. Human beings are most likely the cause of climate change and low-on that we are now suffering. And you can see it in the graph lines right here. So it is extremely important that we are aware of this, that we are prepared to do something about it, and that we learn to adapt, and learn to mitigate, and learn to manage. Best of all, learn to prevent. Look at this one. The economic and human impact of disasters in the last 12 years, in dollars terms, in the last 12 years, 1.3 trillion.